Senior Chair Dixon, Chairs McNeely and Penny, committee members, senators, members of the public, thank you so much for the opportunity to address the House Committee on Agriculture and Environment today to tell you more about North Carolina's thriving compost industry. My name is Nick Wood and I serve as the lobbyist for the North Carolina Composting Council. I am honored to be here to introduce Council Director Polk, Compost Facility Operator Trey Alber, Composting Council Board President Muriel Wililman, and also note that Composting Facility Operator Amy Fulford from Chatham County is sick today and unable to be with us, and Muriel's going to read her testimony. This committee and your colleagues in the Senate have been supportive of the growing agricultural industry, over the past 3 Farm Acts. You have enabled farmers to purchase compost tax-free, included some composters in the Right to Farm Act, and this year passed the Farm Act, including a provision that adds composters who process food and yard waste, otherwise known as type 1, 2, and 3, into the definition of agriculture. Thank you. Let me now turn the floor over to NC Composting Council Executive Director Polk.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here today, and a special thank you to Representative Dixon for the invitation for us to present. We appreciate all of your time, attention, and leadership on issues that are so important to North Carolina's agricultural communities. Again, my name is Polk, and it is a privilege to be here to discuss how composting can support North Carolina agriculture, help preserve valuable landfill space, and contribute, thank you so much, to economic growth across our state. So NCCC is a volunteer-run 501c3 member-based organization dedicated to the development, expansion, and promotion of composting and compost use in all settings. Since 2007, the North Carolina Composting Council, also known as NCCC, has been an authorized affiliate organization of the U.S. Composting Council, also known as the USCC. We promote the programs and activities of the USCC to advance compost manufacturing, utilization, and organics recycling. And quickly, I just want to give a special thanks to NCDEQ for providing some of the charts that I will share today in our presentation from NCDEQ's annual reports. So while composting facilities and landfills are both regulated within the Division of Waste Management, they represent very different models of waste management. Landfills are designed to safely contain materials until they reach capacity and close. Composting facilities, on the other hand, continuously recover organic materials and convert them into valuable products, creating a renewable system that can operate indefinitely when properly managed. While we're proud of the large number of composting businesses and facilities operating within North Carolina, we don't have nearly enough to handle the high volumes of waste being generated and sent currently to our landfills. There are clusters of facilities around the state, but some regions still need composting infrastructure. It is our hope that including composting in the definition of agriculture will increase infrastructure and access to food waste and other agricultural composting. Like the map I just shared, this is another way to see the need for composters in North Carolina. It highlights the gap of composting capacity versus the amount of feedstocks available. The total generation of 2.5 million tons of food waste shown in the red looks like waste because it's going to a landfill. However, it is a resource that should be going to composters. Here is the history of disposal of waste generated in North Carolina since 1991. The forecast is based on the per capita rate from 2023 to 2024 instead of fiscal year 2025 because of the unprecedented increase of waste generated by Hurricane Helene. Natural disasters aside, the amount of per capita waste in North Carolina has been steadily increasing over time. With the prevalence of large storms, it puts additional pressure on landfills already reaching capacity. Over 16 million tons was disposed of in fiscal year 2024 to 25, a 13.9% increase. Of that 1.68 million ton increase, 1.5 million tons was estimated from Hurricane Helene. Composting is the most viable way to manage the extensive vegetative storm debris, and moreover, the surest way to rescue farmland denuded by storms. In the United States, food waste is the largest component of our waste stream, and 30 to 40% of the food supply is wasted annually. Based on estimates from the USDA's Economic Research Service, approximately 133 billion pounds and $161 billion worth of food was landfilled in 2010. North Carolina tracked similarly. A 2025 North Carolina Waste Characterization Study identified 30% of North Carolina's landfill materials could have been composted. This amount of waste has far-reaching impacts on North Carolinians. Wholesome food that could have helped feed families in need is sent to landfills, and the land, water, labor, energy, and other inputs used in producing, processing, transporting, storing, and serving uneaten food are all wasted when it could have been composted and returned to the soil. If we could capture 50% of the compostable waste stream, then we could save another 10 years of landfill space. NCDEQ tracks the amount of feedstocks composted annually in North Carolina. Over 800,000 tons of feedstocks were composted in North Carolina last year. High carbon materials such as yard waste, clean wood, sawdust, and pellets make up 66% of all received materials for fiscal year 2024 to 2025. The solid waste section reports over 57,000 tons of food waste was composted in fiscal year 2024 to 2025. However, 2.5 million tons of food waste generated each year is still available for composting in North Carolina. And this chart highlights the wide range of product distribution by composting facilities across North Carolina. Many composting operations have diverse product lines that serve agriculture, landscaping, erosion control, and other markets throughout the state. To provide a first-hand perspective on how these products are created and used, I am pleased to now introduce you all to Trey Alber of the Wilmington Compost Company.
To speak to you about one of the oldest naturally occurring processes on Earth, composting. My name is Trey Alber, and I am co-owner of family-owned and operated Wilmington Compost Company, serving the greater Cape Fear region. My brother founded Wilmington Compost Company after years working on a regenerative farm, witnessing firsthand the wonders of utilizing compost. After partnering with our local solid waste department on a waste pilot program for a medium digester in 2017, WCC began hauling food waste from various establishments to help prove the program's feasibility and the region's need for composting infrastructure. WCC built a loyal customer base and now takes food waste from numerous counties while providing services, infrastructure, and products that were previously much needed and unavailable in the region. In fact, we are the first in the state to rescue an LCID landfill and transition it successfully into a large Type 3 compost facility. Compost is a dark, nutrient-rich, earthly smelling, crumbly, humus-like mixture of organic matter that has been broken down through a natural decomposition process over time. While not soil itself, compost is an amendment for creating healthier soil, giving it new and future life, biologically active, diverse, and full of healthy fungi and microorganisms. On our farm, you'll often hear us say, we're striving to be as efficient as the forest floor, where composting has taken place always. Part of the composting process is capturing and diverting items that do not belong in the landfill or openly burned, and processing these materials into beneficial, useful, thriving organic matter. As composters, we choose to waste not and to return as much as we possibly can. How does composting work? Composting takes place at all levels, from as small as a homeowner with a backyard tumbler to as large as sites taking over 85,000 tons of food waste annually and more. No matter the scale, compost requires ideally the same balance ratio of two things, carbon and nitrogen materials, to achieve good results. At an industry level, composters may offer services to haul directly from their customers or drop locations back to their site or to a partner site for processing. Our main sectors include the residential, commercial, event, agricultural, and municipal markets. Composters also have customers haul to them and charge a tipping fee to dispose at their site. In some places, It is free to dispose food waste or offered through county or city services. Waste streams, or feedstocks as we call them, include but are not limited to things like food waste, ag manures, yard waste, storm debris, forestry byproducts, and leaves. These feedstocks are mixed on site specific to a composter's recipe and then organized into what are called windrows. Windrows are long, triangular shaped rows of feedstocks. Facilities are designed with great consideration, undergoing rigorous engineering, site testing, zoning, and permitting steps to ensure maximum compliancy, longevity, profitability, and efficiency. They are maintained often to exceed the standards of their permits by certified operators and experienced personnel. This industry has some of the highest quality standards, and we are extremely proud that North Carolina happens to be an industry leader. Once windrowed, typical timeframes are 2 to 4 months. I'm just going to hold up 2 bags real quick so you can see that time frame. One bag got some food waste, and another bag finished compost. That time frame from food waste to finished compost on average is about 2 to 4 months. During which that time frame, composters monitor temperature, oxygen, moisture, odor, and other variables to ensure best management practices take place in the decomposition process. This material goes through 3 phases: the mesophilic, thermophilic, and curing phases. During these phases, healthy bacteria, fungi, and microbes work hard to break down the organic matter, which is why composters work so tediously to provide them with ideal conditions. At various stages of these phases, composters will achieve regulatory check marks, for example, hitting PFRPs, or processes to further reduce pathogens. When ready, the compost is screened to create a final product, and samples are sent out for third-party testing to ensure stability, regulatory compliance, and quality prior to going to market. This and the data we collect from our fields, soil testing, farmers, feedback, research programs, and other programs we partake also helps to advance our understanding of our processes and products. Composting is as much a science as it is an art. Further, this data helps differentiate us from traditional synthetic fertilizers. A composter's role is larger than just being a food waste processor or a hauler. We extend the life of landfills. We are educators and utilize our sites for educational purposes. We are employers. We are who the farmer grows with. We are who the mother gardens with. We serve with local integrity at the heart of our business. We strengthen local economies while restoring ecosystems. We are vital infrastructure for waste handling and stellar examples of American ingenuity in manufacturing. We don't see waste. We see an opportunity for a solution to create an invaluable natural resource right here where it matters most, our home. Altogether, composting is a magnificent industry of circularities. This week, one of my farmers will sell his produce to one of the restaurants that I haul from. They will recycle the leftover scraps after prep and food service, which my company will take back to the farm and process into compost. Some of this compost will likely end up back on that same farm or another farm just like it, feeding the soil for the next harvest. Agriculture, a restaurant, tourism, waste hauling, composting, and distribution all in one loop, of which there are many loops to name. And now, I am proud to introduce Muriel Wililman, President of the North Carolina Compost Council.
Good morning, everyone. I am speaking on behalf of Amy Fulford at the moment. Please imagine a tall drink of water from the center of North Carolina, Goldston in Chatham County. I am using her words, so just imagine that I am she. Although I have known her for 25 years, I'll do my best to represent this woman that I respect immensely. So, hi, I'm Amy Fulford, Assistant Manager at Brooks Compost Facility in Goldston, which is in southwest Chatham County. We're a family business that started in the early 1990s after closing our dairy farm. We transitioned a 30-acre field into a composting operation, and this is what it looks like today. After growing to meet the demands from Central North Carolina, we're showing a brief video here. The facility is surrounded by 400 acres of farmland We have an aerated windrow facility where we use a turner to straddle long windrows where the material on the inside of the pile gets flipped to the outside and vice versa. And this is how we're able to meet pathogen reduction requirements. After a curing phase, the last step to screen the compost before it's sold to landscapers, gardeners, and farmers. And of course, we use a lot of the compost on our own pastures and cropland. My family's business, Brooks Contractor, handles all the equipment and operations, and we accept over 70,000 tons of organics each year. Those feedstocks include pre- and post-consumer food waste, leaves, wood chips, and yard waste, horse manure and bedding, and eggshells. We actually got into composting to solve the waste problem for the poultry industry. Hatchery waste was a burden on landfills, but now we're able to turn much of what's generated in the southeast into a valuable natural resource for our surrounding communities. Each year, we sell over 60,000 cubic yards of compost and topsoil blends, with about half of those sales going into food production and half to landscaping. Over half of our sales each year comes from this, a man-made sandy loam landscaping soil, which we call a 50-50. This soil usually tests over 10% organic matter, and it's used all over the triangle to grow stunning landscapes and productive gardens. We can make just about anything you could dream up, including custom blends for specific uses. Oh, thank you so much. All right. And this is the #1 reason why people use compost. The soil profile on the left, you can see an optimal soil profile with almost a foot of workable soil. But in central North Carolina, we have shallow soils that need a little help. And compost is the quickest way to turn our soil into something that can perform even better than what you see on the left. We work with a lot of farmers that utilize deep compost mulch systems, where a thick layer of compost is spread on top and planted directly into. This is the best way they've found to build a resilient soil that is able to produce nutrient-dense food and withstand severe weather conditions such as heavy rains or prolonged droughts. As research discovered more about the soil, it's easy to understand why compost works so well. In each spoonful of compost, there are billions of microorganisms that are beneficial to plant growth. This is what our compost looks like under a microscope. You can see bacteria, minerals, humic and fulvic acid, and a beneficial nematode that is often referred to as a fertilizer bag opener because it extracts ammonia right into the plant's roots. And amazing. In 2010, using a high-powered electron microscopes, microbiologists discovered the rhizophagy cycle. This process starts with bacteria entering the root tip, where the plant absorbs its food, and then the bacteria exits the root hairs, where it enters back into the rhizosphere. The bacteria can then go and mine more nutrients to complete the cycle again and again. Compost is fuel for the rhizophagy cycle. I always tell farmers to use compost on their worst land first because the visible benefits will be unmistakable. After Helene ravaged farms in western North Carolina, we teamed up with two nonprofits to get over 1,000 cubic yards of compost delivered to farmers at no cost to them. Because they had access to compost, they were able to rebuild their beds and have fresh food available to their communities in the spring of 2025. Here's the, can you go back one? Here's the Open Ridge Farm in Burnsville pictured after Helene's damage. Can you imagine looking out your window and seeing this? They were able to offer a good selection of produce to their customers after receiving a load of compost. And that's this slide, after the compost was delivered 1 year later. The same story at our farm in Weaverville after Helene. Go ahead and click, yeah, thanks. Before compost and after compost. After Billy Bryant of Bryant Family Farms in Green Mountain got a load, he said he had the best potato yields ever, and that was after the worst destruction he'd ever had. Compost can make it happen, and whether it's helping to build an urban landscape that can withstand drought and act as a giant sponge to soak up stormwater, or rebuilding flooded farmland where the topsoil was washed away. We also partner with companies like Compost Now to collect food scraps and deliver the finished compost to local farms and gardens. This organics recycling program effectively closes the loop, turning waste into a resource that nourishes the community. And here's some contact information if you want to reach any of us. I'm going to wrap it up, just a few minutes for allowing the North Carolina Composting Council to present to you today. We look forward to any questions you might have. As nonprofits do, we had our big annual members meeting just last week, where I was so proud to announce to the 50 composters and advocates assembled that composting has been added to the Farm Act in some form 3 years in a row, with our most recent success adding types 1, 2, and 3 to the state's definition of agriculture. The enthusiasm and approval of the assembled was palpable. The applause was sincere. We're hoping that the change in the law will ease zoning restrictions to allow for more facilities to thrive, to become active, that composters can receive some tax benefits, and potentially create a smoother on-ramp for farmers who want to be permitted to add compost to their list of saleable commodities. There will be other ripple effects that may be harder to predict, but having compost recognized as an agricultural process and compost recognized as an agricultural product folds our membership into the most economically viable entity in North Carolina, and that is a powerful change in itself. To say that our legislative success has amplified the stature of the North Carolina Composting Council is an understatement. The last 4 years working directly with our lobbyist, Nick Wood, and building positive relationships with the members of the General Assembly has rocketed our organization into a new level of effectiveness for our members and for the industry that is frankly unmatched by other USCC chapters. They are watching us with interest and maybe some envy as a model for other states. The North Carolina Composting Council has over 100 members across North Carolina, and we have actually proven ourselves to be effective partners with the state legislature. We look forward to seeing where that partnership leads in the future. With this momentum and your support, composters are poised to grow. If you're interested in a tour, please let Nick know. We'd be happy to show you one of these wonderful facilities around the state. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, one of our last meetings, we talked about how we are a consuming nation. The more we consume, the more we throw away. We're not always interested in what we throw away. But as you see here, some very interesting things can happen. And I would like for us to have a little bit different attitude towards all things that we throw away and what we do with them. A brief opportunity here. I hope that you were interested. I hope that you paid attention to this. What we throw away as a nation is unbelievable. And we need to give quality attention. We don't need to think bad things about what we do with our waste. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And our own waste, eventually, at the rate we dispose of stuff in the United States of America. We must be more conscious. We must. I truly believe, some way, somehow, this is the fuel for the next couple 100 years. We're looking at our waste. We've got to figure out a way to turn it into something. Representative Brody.